Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Vishnavad Paramahansa Parivrajacharyas Tanis Shisamad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Ki. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hare Ki. Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki. Shri Gopanima Mahotsava Ki. Gopremanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. How nice to be with you all. I hope you're all happy in Krishna consciousness. And just shortly on the 7th of March, what is that? That's next week Tuesday. Next week Tuesday is a very important festival of ours. It's Gopurnima, the appearance day of Lord Caitanya. So, like I say, it's a very important day. On the altar you see the deities there, two deities, main deities. On your right, that is Lord Caitanya. On your left, on my side, is Lord Nityananda. And they are transcendental brothers, you can say. They're a transcendental team. And it was actually the appearance day of Lord Nityananda just about a 2 or 3 weeks ago or thereabouts. Yeah, and now coming up on the 7th, next week, Tuesday, is the appearance day, or you might say the birthday of Lord Caitanya. And so on Tuesday, I'm assuming there'll be a major festival right here where we are right now. And yes, celebrating. It will be, what is it now? The 37th anniversary of the appearance of Lord Caitanya. Yes. So that's really nice, very important occasion in our calendar. And so what we'll do today, right now, we will say a few words about Lord Caitanya, just to get us into the mood a bit, get us tuned in a bit. And, if you read something every day from now till next week, Tuesday, read something or listen to something, some recording about Lord Caitanya, it'll really, when the day comes on the 7th, you'll really be able to dive deeply into the occasion and really taste some special transcendental nectar, because he's just a very glorious person. He's particularly a very merciful person. And let's face it, all of us need some mercy. Actually, all of us need as much mercy as we can get, or even more. Just there's no limit, really. And of course, the Lord's mercy is available every day, all day, every day, 24/7. But still, on his special days, particularly the Appearance Day, then he gives more mercy. So remember that, think about that. We'll talk about a few relevant things today, and the books are there, which have, if you've got the books at home or on your, you can access all of these things on your telephone with your eyes closed. If you're like a professional telephone user, and I'm sure lots of you are. It's all there. It's all there, and it's nectar any time, but particularly on the day it's extra special nectar, because Lord Caitanya is the most recent incarnation of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the source of us, of all the regular living entities like us, and he's also the source of all the different forms of himself. There's so many, unlimited. There's an unlimited number of forms. Shri Shri Nitai Gora Hari Ki Jai. There's an unlimited number of forms of the Lord himself, even in all species. We're not going to go so much into the technical side now, but it's a fact. In all species of life, even we are familiar of Lord Krishna appearing in the form of a fish, in the form of a tortoise, in the form of half man and half lion, and just in all the species. We don't know all the species ourselves, but in all the species he has appeared. Not that he becomes limited or restricted by the usual restrictions that the different species have, but he remains the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Caitanya is the most recent incarnation of Lord Krishna, who is the origin, the original source. And Lord Caitanya has appeared in this age that we're in now. It's called Kali Yuga. And I imagine you're all aware, particularly all of you adults are aware, it is not a very good time. It is not a good time. It's an extremely difficult time. It's quite incredible, actually. So in this very difficult time, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, has appeared as Lord Caitanya to make the perfection of life, the development of love for God, getting out of this material world, this difficult, tragically difficult material world, and going back to the kingdom of God, making it very easy for anyone. Yeah, and even those who are not human. Not human. So that's Lord Caitanya in a tiny little nutshell. He is particularly merciful to those who are not really qualified or capable spiritually. And don't mind me saying it, but that's us. You and me too. That's all of us. Okay, so what I'm going to do, is go through a couple of pastimes of Lord Caitanya, in which, well, they're just very interesting pastimes in which different points are made. There are different things, lessons we can learn about life, about ourselves, and about God. So let's get into it. First one I'm going to go into, this is, it comes actually from Caitanya Charitamrita. Any of you, like I say, if you've got the books at home, or if you haven't, if you've got a telephone and you know how to operate it, you can access this easily, anytime. It's Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, which is the last part of the book, chapter 8, which is titled Ramachandra Puri Criticizes the Lord. You may well, many of you, all of you, I'm sure, at least some of you, are quite familiar with the story. It's a real classic from the pastimes of Lord Caitanya. And in it, we see how two people who were devotees, one was a very good devotee, the other was kind of marginal, on and off type of devotee. In fact, he was a pretty negative type of devotee. And they both interacted. They both had the same spiritual master. And they both interacted with him in different ways according to their positions in Krishna consciousness. One of them, as I said, was very good devotee and just very good disciple of the spiritual master, and the other was not. In fact, as the chapter title says, he criticized his spiritual master first of all, and then later he criticized the Supreme Lord. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that's a big no-no. Those are two gigantic no-nos for anyone who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, or you could just say anyone who doesn't want to make their life into like a living disaster zone. So let me begin by reading one verse from the chapter which just makes that point, basically. This is now Caitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila chapter 8. Ramachandra Puri criticizes the Lord, and it's verse 32. 32. Mahada nugraha nigrahera sakshi dui jane. A dui dware shikaila jaga jane. Which means Ishvara Puri received the blessing of Madhavendra Puri. Ishvara Puri is the good disciple. Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master. Ishvara Puri received the blessing of Madhavendra Puri, whereas Ramachandra Puri, he's the not very well-situated disciple, but he's still, at least officially, an initiated disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So whereas Ramachandra Puri received a rebuke from him, therefore these two persons, Ishvara Puri and Ramachandra Puri, are examples of the objects of a great personality's benediction and punishment. Madhavendra Puri instructed the entire world by presenting these two examples. So there's three people: Ishvara Puri, good disciple; Madhavendra Puri, spiritual master and just great, great devotee; Ramachandra Puri, the not good disciple, unfortunately. They've all got the name Puri. So hope it doesn't confuse you. Right, because Puri is a title sometimes, not always, but sometimes used for sannyasis, those in the renounced order of life. And these three people, they were in the renounced order of life. So, okay, let me tell you the story. It's a really good story. It's a very interesting story. It gets a bit, I don't know if you'd say, you could say shocking, but definitely gets a little dramatic as we go on. So make sure you're sitting down, fasten your seatbelts, and okay, be ready. So here we go. So Madhavendra Puri, he appeared in this world 2 generations before Lord Caitanya. In other words, his age would have been sort of like the age of Lord Chaitanya's grandfather. So he was sent actually by the Lord to establish, just sort of plant the seed, you could say, for Lord Caitanya to come and really give the whole blessing of love of God to everyone. Up till the time of Madhavendra Puri, Radha and Krishna were not worshipped very much. Mainly Lakshmi and Narayan were worshipped as the Supreme Lord and his consort. And, well, Narayan is an expansion of Lord Krishna. Lakshmi is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. So, it's appropriate, it's nice, there's nothing exactly wrong with it. But the thing is that, as we mentioned, Krishna is the source. He is the original Supreme Lord. Radharani is the original form of his consort, but just for whatever reasons, people didn't generally know that, the great majority. So, but Lord Chaitanya's mission is to give everyone, even the people of, believe it or not, Lenasia. Seriously. And Soweto, and just, the greater Joburg area in general, to give everyone, every single one, the opportunity to, first of all, understand that Lord Krishna is the original Supreme Lord, and like the original shelter for all of us, and to give all of us the opportunity to reawaken our forgotten relationships with Him. Yeah, not just Lakshmi and Narayan, but actually Radha and Krishna. So Madhavendra Puri, 2 generations before Lord Caitanya came, he was already preaching these things and having Hare Krishna Kirtan and doing his best, at least, to spread these things. And, he didn't make the impact that Lord Caitanya did when he came a little later, but he did make quite an impact. And he had many followers, and he was very famous, spiritual master and spiritual leader. And 2 of his disciples were Ishvara Puri, as we said, was the good disciple, and then this Ramachandra Puri, who was not. They were both his initiated disciples and sannyasis. Yeah. And in fact, as time went on, Ishvara Puri became the spiritual master of Lord Caitanya himself. Yeah, into that generation. So he's like the age of Lord Chaitanya's parents, basically. So what happened was, in terms of the particular, the story here is that Madhavendra Puri, he's now an old man, really an old man, to the point that he's incapacitated by old age. He's just about to leave this world, or as they say, die. He's just about to. And of course, go back to the kingdom of God where he came from, because he's such a great, great devotee. So he's incapacitated, he's bedridden, and the word got out amongst his disciples and just amongst the people in general that this is what's happening. And because he was such a famous devotee and he had many, many disciples and followers and people who appreciated him, when they heard he's just about to pass away, it's a matter of weeks, then people started coming to pay their last respects. So both Ishvara Puri and Ramachandra Puri came. Particularly Ishvara Puri came, and he saw his spiritual master there, incapacitated, bedridden. He couldn't even stand up. So Ishvara Puri, as the very sincere and dedicated devotee and disciple, he decided to personally serve his spiritual master by looking after him right up till the time he departed. And he did that. So what he was doing, well, he was doing everything. He was bathing Madhavendra Puri somehow or other, feeding him, and Madhavendra Puri, would pass stool and urine, but he couldn't go to the toilet physically. So Ishvara Puri, it actually states in Caitanya Charitamrita, he would clean it all up with his hands and make everything nice, really, and change his clothes, etc. All these things, just completely taking care of a person who's completely physically incapacitated. And as he was doing this, he was not thinking that, look at this, gosh, what a filthy, dirty situation, oh my Lord. But someone's got to do it, so, oh well, I guess I'll do it. He was happy. He was actually in ecstasy, doing all these things. And he considered it a great privilege and honor even to do these most basic of hygienic things for his spiritual master. So while he was doing all these things, he was singing and chanting and reciting different pastimes of the Lord. And he just created a just wonderful, blissful, ecstatic atmosphere all around Madhavendrapuri at this very crucial time. And because of that, Madhavendrapuri was extremely appreciative. Extremely appreciative. So Madhavendrapuri, as the verse we read said, he gave him a benediction. He blessed him that may you become a great devotee and a great lover of God. Yes. When you see deities, not so much here, but like in Durban, Radharanath, you see the deities there. Their hands are in different positions. Srimati Radharani, her right hand, who can tell me, all of you devotees, many of you have seen them so many times, what position's her right hand in? Anyway, I'll tell you, it's like this. It's a position of blessing. The main hand position is called a mudra. Mudra means different gestures of the hands. The main blessing mudra is like this. This is the classic blessing mudra that, you just get blessed. But this is also blessing, but also accepting something which she will then offer to the Lord on your behalf. So you will get the blessing just from her hand being like that, and you'll get the blessing that she offers, whatever it is, usually a flower or a little bouquet, something like that. She'll then offer it to Krishna. Krishna, you don't need to worry, will accept it. If it's just us, here Krishna, take a flower, Haribol. Who knows if he'll accept it or not, because there's so many, he gets offered lots of flowers. And often by devotees who are way beyond us in terms of the development of Krishna consciousness. So anyway, Ishvarapuri got that blessing. Actually, he was already a very advanced devotee. It's not like he's just a beginner and he gets this blessing and he gets transformed. He was already very advanced, but still it had a great impact. May you become a great devotee and lover of God. So as a result of that, he became such a devotee that when Lord Caitanya met him, Lord Caitanya was deeply moved by the association of Ishvarapuri. to the point that Lord Caitanya decided, I want to accept this person as my spiritual master, and he did. That's a whole other story, how Lord Caitanya got initiated and what happened. It's another one of our long stories. It's a really nice story, though. But that's what happened. Now, unfortunately, with a capital U, and a capital N, and a capital F, and everything else, this Ramachandra Puri, he's an initiated devotee, and not just like, a quote-unquote regular initiated devotee, but he's a sannyasi. He's initiated as a sannyasi, means he's meant to be more progressed spiritually. But somehow or other he got onto the wrong track within Krishna consciousness, but in Krishna consciousness in the wrong ways. Now you might be surprised to hear that that's even possible, but it definitely is possible. Yeah, please move forward, devotees. Give me your closer association. He knows I need it, so we gestured like that. So, okay, Ramachandra Puri. He also decided to visit and pay his last respects to Madhavendra Puri. So he came. And there was Madhavendra Puri. Now, this is a little esoteric, subtle point about Krishna consciousness, at least for many people who are not really, haven't been involved for so long, haven't read so much, and not so well informed about how it all works. But in many cases, not just many, but actually basically in all cases, as devotees progress in Krishna consciousness, not that they're not aware that they're making progress. They are aware, but at the same time, they become progressively more humble. Yeah. To the point of, we read that verse from Caitanya Charitamrita, which is written by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is, very, very elevated and special devotee. In different places in the book, he expresses extreme humility. Like, for example, in one place, he says that I am lower than the worm in stool. Yeah. And he's not just saying it. He actually feels that. And then just immediately after he says, anyone who hears my name becomes sinful. It's not actually true. It is untrue, in fact. But that's how he feels. Because, there are different ways of appreciating it, but one way is, for people like us, I know many of us have been practicing Krishna consciousness for quite some time, like Harinam Ananda Prabhu, for, 40, at least 40 years or more. 50 years. 70? 76. Okay. Getting on for 50 years. But the thing is, as devotees advance, they become more acutely aware of where they're coming from, meaning their previous lives, just in ordinary day-to-day life. they become more aware that, gosh, before I became a devotee, I wasn't doing so well, actually. In fact, my life was a bit of a disaster. I mean, I will not tell you some of the things I used to do, because some of you would probably just walk out right now. And I'm not kidding either. Yeah, really. So anyway, Madhavendra Puri, as he's now approaching the time of leaving his body and just, as they would say, dying, he's looking back on his life in a very humble mood. And he was reciting different verses, which from different devotees, in which they express their extreme humility. And there's one verse, let me just, it's just so good having a computer like this. My computer is almost omniscient, which I'm not. I mean, it's also not really, but there's so many things which I sort of know, but I can't just recall just like that. And this is one of them. It's another verse from the same chapter. And this is one of the verses Madhavendra Puri was reciting in his humility, as he knew death is just a matter of a few days. Ai dina dayadranathe, maturanatha kadavalokise, hridayam twad aloka kataram, dayata brahmyati kim karom yaham, which means, O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? This is his mood of humility. He's actually saying, the Sanskrit term is Kim karom yaham. What shall I do? What shall I do? As if he doesn't know what to do. Don't worry. He definitely knows what to do. But in his humility, he's feeling like that. What is my position? I was trying to reach Mathura, but here I am. I'm finished. And I haven't actually reached Mathura. I've failed. I've failed in my mission of life. He hasn't failed. He's definitely not failed. But in his mood of humility, he feels like that. So, devotees, this Ramachandra Puri happened to walk in for his last meeting with his spiritual master, and his spiritual master is reciting this verse and other similar verses of extreme humility, and as if he has failed in his Krishna consciousness, which he hasn't, but he feels like that. So this Ramachandra Puri sees him crying. He's feeling just so lowly. He's crying, I'm so useless. And reciting a verse like this. And Ramachandra Puri, due to his offenses against devotees, he had developed some attachment for impersonalism. Impersonalism means, in the simplest sense, we are not persons. It's impersonalism. We're not persons. God is not a person. There is no such a no such thing as a person, but rather it's all one. And we should merge with it and become part of it. And that's what we should do, which we should not do. That's impersonalism. So there's Madhavendra Puri expressing himself like that and crying. And Ramachandra Puri says, why have you become so emotional? You're going to die shortly. So you should know what you're meant to do. You should fix your mind on Brahman. Means that impersonal oneness that they imagine to be God. Yeah, you should fix your mind like that and become detached. Don't be so emotional. Like, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, no. Don't be so emotional. Just fix your mind impersonally that it doesn't matter, dead or alive. It doesn't matter. Just hang in there. So, of course, Madhavendra Puri understood where this fellow was coming from, and he became actually irate. He really became upset. And he told him, you just get out now. Just get out. I don't want to see your face. And he said, if I die seeing your face, I don't know what my destination will be. Sure, you could hardly get heavier than that. And Ramachandra Puri, he had such a mentality. This is his spiritual master. And normally if the spiritual master tells you, get yourself together, you're not practicing properly, pull yourself together, you should immediately say, yes, sir, and just do whatever you can to pull yourself together spiritually. But not Ramachandra Puri. He thought, as he walked out, having been kicked out, he thought, sort of like, naughty spiritual master, you shouldn't speak to me like that. I was giving you good advice. I was helping you. You should have thanked me. Naughty spiritual master. And off he went like that. You may know, or you may not know, that Srila Prabhupada, at least once, got chastised, not as sort of, heavily as that, but he really got chastised by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was in Calcutta on the roof of a property the organization had there, and he was giving a class to however many, maybe 100 people, or it was quite a gathering. And Srila Prabhupada was right at the back, and sitting next to him was an elderly, just hard of hearing, couldn't hear properly. So every now and then he'd turn to Prabhupada and say, what did he say? And Prabhupada would tell him, well, he said this and that and something. That's what he said. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta did not appreciate it. He didn't know exactly what was going on, but there was a bit of noise there in the background every now and then. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta stopped the class and pointed to Prabhupada and said, Babu, which is sort of like saying Prabhu or something like that. Babu, would you like to come and sit here? Would you like to speak? That's heavy, isn't it? Isn't that heavy? It's really heavy. Yeah. And Prabhupada talking about that. It's recorded. Prabhupada, he wasn't afraid to tell his own disciples how he got chastised, really. It was a pretty powerful experience. He was very open about it, that my spiritual master chastised me one day for not being attentive. And, Prabhupada didn't try to say, well, actually, this fellow is deaf. I'm trying to help him. And so, don't chastise me. You should thank me. Something like that. He just took it. And Prabhupada said that from time to time afterwards, he would remember that chastisement he received. And Prabhupada said that he treasured that moment. He treasured that moment. That's a real disciple. And if any of you ever get around to having disciples, let me just tell you, they're not all like that. You get some really good ones, but they're not all like that. So anyway, so Ishvara Puri, he got the blessings. He became such a great devotee. Lord Caitanya was so impressed by him, he accepted him as spiritual master. Ramachandra Puri, he didn't appreciate it. He had the chance to realize, wow, I really made a terrible mistake. But no, he went the other way. So what happened as a result is that he developed the habit of criticizing devotees, just devotees, whoever. But Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord, don't ever underestimate Maya. Don't ever overestimate your own capacity to sort of handle Maya. I tell you what, Maya's so heavy that with him, she gave him the idea that, you're such a senior devotee. Look at you. You're a sannyasi. And he was already an elderly man. You're very senior. So it's natural for someone like you. You should help the younger devotees. That's true, actually. So you should point out to them what they're doing wrong so they can then improve themselves. Sounds very good, but actually it just fed his tendency to criticize and not appreciate. So there's a description here of, he actually ended up in Jagannath Puri when Lord Caitanya was there. And he'd heard of Lord Caitanya because Lord Caitanya was already very, very famous. And he wanted to sort of check out Lord Caitanya because he was technically in the same generation as Lord Chaitanya's guru, Ishvara Puri. They're godbrothers. So in his bewilderment, he thought, I must check out this Caitanya. And just, I'm sure I can help him by pointing out some things he's doing wrong, and he'll become a better devotee. But there's a description, first of all, the first thing he did, he got there. He met Lord Caitanya and another devotee, Paramananda Puri, who was also a godbrother of Ishvara Puri. But then his specialty in terms of checking out devotees and seeing how they're doing I mean, he would do it in all sorts of ways, but his particular specialty was checking out how much they were eating. So, he would be here, I tell you what, just in whatever it is, 45 minutes or something, watching you. So first of all, he met or invited one of Lord Chaitanya's associates, Jagadananda Pandit, who was very great devotee and very close to Lord Chaitanya. He invited him for lunch. And he had all this Jagannath Mahaprasadam. That's a bit of a long story, but basically he's serving Jagadananda. Oh, look at this. Nice preparation. Take some more. Oh, look at this. Oh, this looks good. Take some more. That sort of mood, which is nice when you're serving prasadam. Encourage the devotees to appreciate. So Jagadananda's just about had enough. And he said, okay, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Ramachandra Puri said, what? Don't tell me. Are you refusing Jagannath Mahaprasadam? Oh no, that's terrible. Oh my God. I thought you were a devotee. So Jagadananda said, all right, I'll take some more. But he's just about ready to collapse. And Ramachandra Puri says, you know what? I heard the associates of this Caitanya eat too much, and today I have seen it with my own eyes. So in other words, you couldn't win. This way or that way, you couldn't win. He would get you. So then what he did, as the chapter title suggests, he decided to check out Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's eating. So he just rolled up one day at prasadam time. When I was a very new devotee, I'm still a new devotee, only 50 years. But when I was really a really new devotee, we would have our Sunday program in London, and there were some devotees. Every Sunday, they would come to the program. And they would come, we're going to have Arati shortly. These devotees, every Sunday, they would come just as the pujari is offering the fan in the Arati. It's the end of the Arati. Next couple of minutes, it's over. And then take a guess what happens. Prasadam. So we used to call them, because they came when the pujari's fanning the deity. We would say, these are members of Krishna's fan club. So this Ramachandra Puri just appeared uninvited when Lord Chaitanya's just about to start eating prasadam. And of course he invited, this is a senior, technically a senior, and it's prasadam time. So he invited him, oh, please sit down, let us serve you prasadam. But Ramachandra Puri said, no, it's okay. I just came for the association. But actually just came to watch and check out. And he had I don't know if he had his telephone. How many chapatis? 1, okay, that's not too bad. 2, 3. Probably just had a little notebook. So, yeah, he checked out Lord Chaitanya. He's just watching him. It's Lord Chaitanya's eating. And initially, though, he didn't do anything. Say anything. But he kept coming. He kept coming. One day he came. Lord Caitanya is sitting down to take prasadam. On one side, some ants are crawling. And Ramachandra Puri says, look, see, there's ants. Ants come wherever there are sweets. That means this sannyasi, Lord Caitanya, has been eating sweets. Oh no, shame, shame, shame. He'll be ruined. His sannyas will be ruined. So Lord Caitanya, when he heard that, you know what he did? He cut his eating in half. Yeah. And all the devotees, when they heard, they cut their eating in half. And it's a bit of a long story, but we don't really have time. But I'll just conclude by saying that everyone was really angry with Ramachandra Puri because it was just stupid. First of all, it's just his speculation, because, you know, in many places, like in India, in many places, you just get ants. And in many places in Joburg, you get ants. It's just, that's life. That's life. Ant-man. Anyway, and I was just on an aeroplane. I saw they were saying what the films were, so don't worry. I promise you, I didn't watch it. If I watched it, I'll give you just whatever you want, whatever I can. So yeah, the ants. So actually it was not true. The ants were just doing their ant thing. There were no sweets there. But Ramachandra Puri was so tuned in to what people are doing wrong. He could see that you'd done something wrong, even if you hadn't done something wrong. That's very advanced level of perception. Yeah. So the devotees tried to Shri Nitai Gora Hari Ki Jai. Don't worry, we'll have kirtan in, I would say, just 1 or maybe 2 minutes. Just sit down, relax. It's okay, it's all right. So, they tried to convince Lord Caitanya, don't listen to this man, he's just a creep. But Lord Caitanya said, no, he's my senior. He's trying to help me. Eventually, Ramachandra Puri left Jagannath Puri and just went wherever to his next stop to, correct the devotees. And when he left the devotees had a festival. All of us, we're probably going to every now and then move around here and there, wherever life takes us. And devotees may have a little festival when you leave, but not like this. They may have a nice festival to thank you for giving them your association. But in this case, the festival was great. Don't come back, please. Never come back. And they immediately switched to regular prasadam programs. So you must know, devotees, that if devotees feel like that when they see you, that, oh no, it's him again, or oh no, it's her again, ugh, it's not very good. It's not nice. Yeah, it means you've offended them. So the message here is really do your best to actually serve the spiritual master, of course, and the devotees. And on the other hand, don't criticize. Yeah. I mean, everybody Everybody has their little eccentricities or little quirks and things. Everybody has something a little funny they do. Don't make a big issue of it. If you see one of the devotees smoking a cigarette, all right, then you can say something. But just because a devotee takes an extra samosa or something like that, just relax. It's okay. Yeah. So there you go, devotees. That's something from the pastimes of Lord Caitanya. Really interesting and educational, informative pastime. Extremely informative. So take it to heart and remember it. I don't know, maybe get the recording of this class and play it. But at least try and gear up to the appearance of Lord Caitanya on the 7th, Tuesday, next week. Yeah, really try and tune in. Because if you prepare yourself like this, then when the occasion comes, you'll just naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly get more deeply into it and get a much deeper and much more beautiful experience from it. It really is a fact. And in final closing, don't think too bad. I mean, you can think badly of Ramachandra Puri. It's all right. It's bona fide. But don't think too badly, because you know he's a special person appearing in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. He's also in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. You know who he is in Krishna in Vrindavan? He is Jatila. And if you don't know who Jatila is, don't worry about it, because we don't have time to explain. But probably many of you know who Jatila is. And she is the original case. Actually, don't mind me saying this. She is the original mother-in-law. And it's not so bad in Indian communities, but from my cultural background, you must know, if you're a mother-in-law, you know, you're really... Oh boy, mothers-in-law are not popular, usually. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Shri Srinitai Gaura Hare ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanande.